Welcome. It is no accident that you have found your way to the Release the Genie podcast. What would you do with 3 wishes? And what if you discovered that you are, in fact, that very genie that could grant them? Well, join us now as we discover who our next genie is as we listen in and learn the stories of triumph, inspiration, and passion with some very special guests. And now, without further delay, your host of the Release the Genie podcast, Mr. Paul Rogers.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching from. Oh my God, you are not going to be able to contain yourselves today. We have a special Release the Genie podcast with the very lovely Berta Medina. I think I spelled that correctly. Yes. And just to give you a little bit of background about this lady, she is a classic style coach, but she brings with it the cold draft of reality. She will make sure that she obtains the best out of you and at the same time, the best of herself for you. This lady also redefines the word adventure. She has climbed mountains. She has thrown herself out of planes. There is no limit to what this lady is prepared to do. And an internal optimist with a brilliant podcast and an author of the Dreamers Succeed book. And I will now hand over to the very wonderful Berta. Hello, Berta.
Hello, Paul. So honored to be here with you. Thank you for this invitation. And I can't wait to chat. Our talks are always a lot of fun. So
absolutely. And Berta and I have talked off camera and it's always been magical. So we know that actually this is going to be amazing. So you're going to want to watch right to the end, everyone. So tell us a little bit about what you do apart from being a real crazy adventure person and a 5-star coach.
What I do other than that, well, as Paul said, I always say I'm an eternal optimist with a passion for loving, living, playing, and giving. And the beautiful thing is that I get to build a business around that, that enables me to not only experience a reward of bringing out the best in my clients and the people that I work with, but I also get to play with them and take them on adventures and get them out of their comfort zone and still have time and the abundance to be able to mission trip and serve children around the world and play a lot with my granddaughter.
That's awesome. I mean, that sounds like you are absolutely aligned with what your purpose. Would that be a fair thing to say?
Absolutely. Very blessed and very blessed to be able to say that, but yes.
So, I mean, for your clients, it's a kind of a lead by an example ethos there then.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I love that because I think that that's one of the things that we can do is, listen, there are people talking the talk all day. But that, pull instead of push mentality that we have, especially as coaches, is I can't take you anywhere I haven't been myself. So I try to continuously push the envelope as far as my boundaries and my comfort zone is concerned, so that I'm speaking and loving from a place of experience rather than just, I always used to say, our kids will never do what we say, but they'll always do what we do.
Absolutely. And, there appears to be a sort of a plethora of coaches at the moment. I think bringing experience and your experiences is key.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So what would you say, as you are actually today cast as today's wonderful genie,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say was the moment where, and what was the event where you had your release the genie moment?
My release the genie moment was in front of the mirror one day in my bathroom. And I sort of looked into this mirror and I was working too many hours, but it was a business that I loved. We'd been married, 26, 27 years at the time. Our children were grown. We were taking care of our moms. Both of our moms lived with us and they were getting up there in age. And I just looked in that mirror, and I'm 47 years old, and I'm thinking, who the hell are you? And what have you done with the lady that's supposed to be looking back at me? I just lost myself in that whole busyness of life and building and doing what we think we're supposed to be doing. And I thought, holy hell, I'm 3 years away from my 50th birthday. And this looks really good on paper, and it looks really good from the outside looking in, but it doesn't feel good in here. And that was my sort of my come to Jesus, let's see what happens. And because I put myself in the position of that intentionality, Paul, and we talk about that a lot. God said, oh, you want to play? Let's play. And then the following year, Paul, everything just, it was 2014. I enrolled in the coaching certification. I started to learn how to fly. I received this invitation for this mission trip to climb Kili and serve Maasai children. And everything that was on my vision board for 7 years came to life that year. And it was sort of like, listen, it is possible. It is doable. Now, if you're serious, let's see how serious you are. And I was serious, and everything just changed for me, Paul.
That really is amazing. And what a fantastic message that is to people who have find themselves in that original state.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of people at that point, isn't there?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would venture to say, Paul, most people, but nobody's really paying attention. Nobody's paying attention. They're doing the busy, and they're in that comfortability, and they're in maybe a job that they hate, but they know they only have to wait until they're 65 or 67. Or, God forbid you should make it. And we're just not, we're numbed. We're numbed by what we're hearing. We're numbed by the pressures of society. We're numbed by limiting beliefs. We're numbed by fears. We're numbed by that programming of playing it safe. And listen, we weren't put here to play it safe and pay bills until we die. Fuck, excuse my French. Screw that. We're here to live it, and live it hard, because we get one time around, people. And somebody asked me earlier today, what is that dash going to look like? We need to be intentional about what that dash is going to look like.
Yeah, I mean, it's so true that the people seem to hide behind the I'm not quite ready, or it's not quite perfect excuses all the time. You're a fierce advocate to say, let's get on with it and live that life which you are praying and hoping for today.
Right. Exactly.
No, so to be honest, if anyone's listening there and that rings any bells, we are talking your language. So, we will put Berta's information up at the end of it, but this is going to be entirely for you now. So listen on. So that was a real aha moment and a big wake up call. What would you say as the Genie was your Genie's quote, which is one of your favorite quotes?
My favorite quote is "Life begins at the end of your comfort zone" by Neil Donald Walsh. I believe that, and I looked up the definition one day, Paul. So a comfort zone, according to Webster's, is a place where people feel comfortable or complacent, right? Great. And I'm thinking that's the biggest bull crap in the world, right? It's a graveyard for potential and hope and dreams. It is where all dreams go to die. And I believe that no life worth living can be lived within the confines of a comfort zone. And I just stretch beyond it at every opportunity, and invite those who will be willing to come and play to stretch beyond their comfort zones, because life looks completely different on the other side of that.
No, that's wonderful. I heard a phrase the other day of "don't make the graveyard any richer," which I thought was just such a fantastic way to actually concentrate yourself back on life. So that's a wonderful phrase. I mean, I'm gonna say, well, what was it like, and were you scared about when you decided to hurl yourself out of an aeroplane?
I wasn't. I can't say that it's not. You don't get the thrills but it's something I'd always wanted to do. So it was just a natural progression of then. And since people already thought, I go from being this, Cuban women are in a class all by themselves, very feisty, very fiery, but very, very prone to the submission of, we have to be the wife, we have to be the caretaker, we have to be the mom, we have to be. So here I am, postmenopausal, and I go through all this stuff, and all of a sudden people think, oh, she's having the craziest, midlife crisis, and all hell is breaking loose. My mom thought I'd lost my mind, and my husband, don't even get me started. But I thought, I can't tell my kids, listen, I want you to go out there and live the life that you want to live, if I'm stuck living normal, right?
Yeah.
And that invitation to show them, and I'm not telling them, listen, I'm doing this for you and this is why I'm doing it, but they've really created beautiful lives for themselves on their terms, based on what they want to do, living in passion, and they're free, and they're living the most beautiful lives. And it's not that I invited them to do it, it's that I showed them that even this old lady who's already raised her kids and done everything can still reinvent and make it, rewrite the ending, if for lack of a better phrase. So I think that's it. It's just that we're doing it because it's important to us, but really as an invitation to those who think it's not possible, to show them not only is it possible, but listen, you need to start right now.
No, and I can really feel that, and I know the listeners and the watchers are going to be able to feel the energy coming off you on that, and it all fits with exactly what you do, what it says on the tin. And
Right.
it's quite nice that sometimes when you get things and you're so disappointed with what you get, but you are exactly what you say, and that's so refreshing, I think, nowadays, to actually have that genuine authenticity.
Yes. And I think, Paul, that's why I think we hit it off right away. And I think that's why people love working with you, because Paul is, what you see is what you get. And I am here to serve, and I am here to give. And I don't care who thinks that and you really just prove it. You prove, that's how you live your life. That's how you're doing life. And listen, you know better than anyone else. Listen, I got a second chance, but not everybody gets a second chance. So I'm going to make the most of it. So I just love that. And I know that that's why every time, somebody mutual comes along, or there's a connection, they come back to me like, are you kidding? Paul is the most amazing person in the world. And I know that you're bringing that through your coaching and through your consultants work. And I just love that you're sharing that with the world, Paul.
That's very kind. Thank you very much. I am deeply touched and humbled, so I really appreciate it. Thank you. One of the things which I find people struggle with is receiving stuff. They're all good about the giving, but they kind of leave the other part behind. So yes, no, it's a two-handed affair.
Exactly.
So tell us, what are you working on at the moment then? Have you got any sort of new schemes, or what are you off doing at the moment?
I am now getting ready. As you know, we had the mission trip that I had planned for Kenya for June. We had to postpone that because of COVID and the travel restrictions. So I'm replanning and refurbishing and repurposing, and hopefully next June will look much more like, with the blessing of additional time to plan, like what I had envisioned for more. So working on that, I've got just working with some great, magnificent people, not only in collaboration but also clients, and we see that how they become who they were destined to be, and they're going out there and now they're paying it forward. It's a beautiful thing. So I have a few programs that I've got lined up, that are starting in a couple of weeks, and then just planning on trying to, I worked my tail off during this pandemic. I mean, I was unstoppable. 14 16-hour days, loved every minute of it, was in full service mode. and now I'm just going to play.
Yeah. Well, it was,
Starting September, I'll just be playing most of the rest of the year.
Well, I mean, to be honest, doing what you love to do, it's quite a difficult thing to actually say, right, I need to stop today, because I know if you had the choice, you would work all hours straight through and you'd still have a huge smile on your face.
Exactly. Absolutely. And that's when Paul, like you said, that's when and I know we've had this conversation before, that you are living in alignment and that you are doing what you love. And sometimes my husband will look at me and he says, "You're going to die. You've been sitting there." And I'm like, are you kidding? You have no idea what I'm creating right now. And it's just, it fills me. So you're absolutely right.
That is wonderful. And now we come to one of the bits of the show I really enjoy, because I get to ask you to grant my 3 wishes.
Perfect.
So you have to channel all of that blue wisdom from the genie now. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So my first wish is what was the best advice you ever received in your life?
The best advice that I ever received in my life was do it scared. You're afraid, do it scared. And it's funny because my mom, who passed last year, she was always afraid of the dark. At 84, she still had to sleep with her closet light on. So when I was a baby and about 1.5, 2 years old, and I was newly potty trained, I'd have to go in the middle of the night. And there was this long hall. There were 8 of us living in a 2-bedroom apartment. And if you turn on the light to go to the bathroom, everyone would wake up. So she'd look out in that hall and she'd say, "Listen, go ahead and go." But I'm like, alone? And she's like, go. God is with you. And I'd go and not turn on the lights and do my thing and come back to bed. And that happened night after night after night. So I realized that from her fear, I received a tremendous gift to trust that, number one, God was always with me, and not to be afraid of the dark. So I'm willing to go into those dark spaces. So then, fast forward 47 years, and I'd be going off to a different country or jump on a plane or go fly. And my mother would say, "Well, aren't you scared?" I'd say, "No," because God is with me. But it was that invitation, that very subtle invitation of her, and maybe coming from, I don't want her to be afraid like I am. Don't be afraid, just trust. So yeah, I think that's a big one.
And as you're talking, I can see the same hallmarks of the story which you've passed on to your children by saying, well, actually, look, I want to do these things, and it's going to be something which helps that. So that you've been paying that forward ever since as well, which is just a beautiful thing to see.
I love it.
So well done. So that was my first wish. I could go home now, but I've got 2 more. So what advice would you give to your younger self?
To my younger self, dream bigger.
Dream bigger. Love it.
Dream bigger, because everything comes to fruition. So if I had known that what I put on my vision board, and I've brought many vision boards to life, that if everything that I put on there is going to happen, I might as well go bigger.
Yeah.
And they have happened. And then it's only proves to me that dream bigger and trust that it's coming.
It's like, it's kind of a bit like momentum then begets momentum. So yeah, I mean, anyone who thinks this is all a bit woo woo, you just need to listen to Berta talk. I mean, she would not fib to you. So
right. And it just is, folks. It really is. And I've brought people, and I do vision board parties at my house, just where potluck, and let's come over and let's just dream for a while. And I did one a year and a half ago, and I had 52 people in my house. Wow. Everybody was sitting around. We looked like kindergartners with crayons and glue sticks and markers and posters. And And I can tell you, Paul, people that did not believe, that they just came because everybody else from a particular group was coming, that now have brought so much of that to life that they're like, I think I need to do another one, because
Wow.
almost all of this, and there are people that just thought it was the woo-wooist thing in the world. And it's just, the power of vision is very, very, very strong in our universe.
That is amazing. That really is. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to move on to my third one, and I feel like I'm kind of robbing you on this now. But if you could pass on one personal habit that attributes to your success.
Read, 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 read. I read like there is no tomorrow. I can tell when I'm not reading, because my numbers, and as an accountability coach, I keep very, very detailed metrics of everything. You know, I always say, you set the goal, you reverse engineer, but you got to keep track. You can eat an elephant, but you have to do it one bite at a time. And if you know when you need to have that elephant eaten by, you need to measure those little bites. So I can tell when I'm not reading enough, because my numbers never lie. And they're directly proportional to what I am feeding my brain. And we could be sitting in front of the news. Don't recommend it. I stopped watching the news, you know, a good 10 years ago. Or we could be buying into whatever they're trying to sell us. But you know what? We have access to great mentors, great teachers, great philosophers in those books. And if we will just commit to filling our C drive with all that good information, positivity. And I know you're an avid reader as well, Paul. It changes your world. I mean, we're in week, again, because I keep really, like, I'm a numbers person, even though I hate math. We're in week 33 right now, and I'm at 47 books.
Wow.
And I had, my goal for this year was 60 books. So I know that I'll way surpass it. But all of my other metrics look better, and I'm more farther ahead in my goals for the year, because that one metric is, I'm exceeding on that one metric, excelling on that one metric. It just, it drags everything else with it.
I totally understand where you're saying about the necessity of reading. I for many years didn't bother. And I've recently, and especially in the this sort of lockdown, has really, really gone full in. And you're absolutely right that there's so much mentors, figures, which actually, I mean, I love sports. So I went and I read the autobiographies of my sporting heroes.
Yes, I love that.
And first of all, I loved it because it was about the person. But then I was like, oh, I didn't realize this was that as well. So I really endorse and recommend what you were saying, that, you know, if you haven't done it for a while, it's not because you lose the talent. It's just that you just need to revisit yourself.
Right, right. And now it's easy, Paul, because now we have audiobooks, and people who don't like to read, you know, I like the turning the pages. I have my Kindle, but there's nothing like being in a book. But, you know, I just drove up to Tennessee Saturday, left at 4 a.m. with my husband, went up to see my daughter who's building her cabin there. And we drove back. We left Monday at 4 a.m. We got back here some point last night. And I I heard 4 books in those, you know, 30 hours that we were driving up and down in those days. So I'm just completely, you know, breathing life into every dream, everything. And it helps my clients. I show up differently. I gain information that I know can help them. I'm always honing my craft. And one of the best ways for us to do that is to continuously learn.
No, that's really good. And as you said, on the audiobooks, a lot of the time it's actually the original author narrating. So it's not a computer voice, it's actually the original author.
Yeah.
And that
amazing.
brings a whole new dimension. It's like that when you watch a film and it said, this is based on a true story. And
Yeah.
like, oh no, this is, I've really got to, and the emotions start to well up because you know, that actually happened.
It actually happened. Absolutely. Yes. So true.
So what would you say is what's a book you could recommend for the listeners to sort of get stuck into something?
I think listen, The Go-Giver for me is a huge turning point for anyone out there particularly anyone who's in business. Even though I think that we should be living as go-givers in our lives, but particularly in business. And the good thing is, Paul, that it's an easy read. It's a great way to just get into. It's probably you can read it in a couple of hours, and it's just a great way to get into. And then you'll get hungry. You'll build that appetite for. And if you're not someone who really enjoys reading, I would do that. Just start with these, 1 to 2 hour books, a lot of great information, a lot of value in the pages. And then that way it doesn't seem like you're buying Gone with the Wind and 500 pages and you could get very overwhelmed. I always say start with what will not be overwhelming so that you can do more of it.
I totally get that. I remember when I was younger, I thought I'd tackle Lord of the Rings.
Oh.
And the book is like, it's huge. And I was like, and I never really got into it because it was literally, I got mostly about half a centimeter in and I was like, I don't even know who all the names are.
And the terminology in that, just like the Harry Potter books, the terminology itself is a whole other, it's a whole other.
I share your enjoyment of the Go-Giver series. And I agree. It's a totally fantastic series. And I know it's given you a huge amount back in your life as well.
Absolutely. It absolutely has.
Awesome. Well, look, tell us, where can we get hold of you? Because, I think people will be virtually biting their hands down now trying to so tell us, where can we get hold of you so we can chat?
Sure. I'm super easy, very active on LinkedIn. Is probably the easiest place. It's Berta Medina. That's BertaMedina. That's my website as well, bertamedina.com. You can go on that, and I'm everywhere else. I'm Dreamers Succeed. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I don't tweet much, but it's there. But usually LinkedIn is usually the best place to get a hold of me.
Absolutely. And I met Berta actually via a LinkedIn mutual introduction myself. Yes. So I have nothing but praise for that platform. And well, look, you heard it here. If that has inspired you and moved you, and we've interrupted a conversation that might have been going on in your head, this lady is the one to take you to actually the very edge of your comfort zone and then carry on plus that. Mm-hmm. I think that's a beautiful message, and I know that people are going to love this. So I'll give you the final few words, and then we can let you go, and you can go and genie away.
I love it. And Paul, again, I am so grateful for your friendship, for your mentorship, for the fact that you're putting yourself out there and really being a stand for people's dreams. So I'm honored to have been on the Genie with you, and love what you're doing, and can't wait for us to be retreating somewhere, having fun and jumping out of planes, and you teaching me how to kite surf. So I will
teach you how to kite surf. That's a go given. So don't you worry. I have the bar of jumping out of the plane to get over, so I had to come up with something pretty good. But kite surfing, yes, we can do that.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you again, Paul. And thank you all.
Thank you very much. And we will catch you. That was Berta Medina, and she will be someone who you will need to keep hold of. And all the best. And I hope we get to release your genies at the same time. Goodbye.
Yay.
Well, that's a wrap. You have been listening to yet another episode of the Release the Genie podcast with host Paul Rogers. Be sure to follow Paul on the LinkedIn platform and learn more of Paul's resources at www.takeactionacademy.ca. And until next time, as always, be mindful and be sure to release your genie. Thanks for listening.